Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another Gelli printing session, and what I want to do today is I want to make some grungy spring prints. To me, spring has the colors that are fresh and pastel-y and bright, mixed with some grunginess because of the earth that is showing through when the first flowers start growing. And also the trees don't have any leaves. And this is why I want to create some chunky fragments first on the plate. Just some touches with Paynes Grey. And I'm experimenting. I started with a stamp and just picked up a little bit of the acrylic paint. And here I pressed the small gel plate onto my bigger one, and I rolled over the plate with my brayer, but I have just a tiny little bit of paint on there, and I'm using Paynes Grey. And now I'm starting the actual print, and I hope that these grungy fragments will create some nice and interesting texture on the prints. I will also experiment with different colors that I associate with spring, and I'm starting with the Sap Green. In the end, I find it's a bit too dark for spring, so I will not use this again, I believe, in this session. But this is one of my favorite greens from Schmincke. And with my 3 plates I'm having here, I also will make some prints to clean the plates, to get rid of the leftover paint on the plates, and this also gives me some extra prints. I'm now creating a pattern with this dot stamp from our brand new Mix It Up stamp set. And then I will add a final layer that makes it able to print. I often get asked over on Instagram if I let each layer dry in between. Of course you can do this as long as your last layer is wet. You can make a print and it will pull up all the layers underneath. But I don't wait to let everything dry. But if you work very quickly and everything is still wet, then it will smear when you go over with your next layer. So I take my time to clean my plates, to get out my new paint, so the paint that is on my plate is already a little bit dry. I still have some of the green on my brayer and a little bit on the plate, so my background color is not pure white, it's kind of a mixture. For printing, I'm using heavyweight paper today. I'm using printer paper with 200 GSM weight, so I can use this to make card backgrounds or fold little mini albums or make little folders or use them as artist trading cards. But of course you can also use these papers for collage, or you can use just some thinner paper to make yourself some collage papers. I really like that pattern that I got here, and I also like the fragments I have on the background. And I will now start using different colors that I think are a bit spring themed. I will not talk very much the whole process because it's quite a long video today. At the moment my editing program says it's 1 hour. I think I can cut something out. We will see how long it is in the end. And you can see you get really interesting textures and prints just from the helper plates I have on the right side. By the way, the sizes, I believe the smallest is 3 by 5 inches. The other must be a 6 by 6 inch square. And the big one is a little bit smaller than A4. This time I just spray that thin layer of Paynes Grey all over my plate. And in between I'm cleaning also my brayer on a sheet of paper, which gives me also some interesting backgrounds. Sometimes I do this on the back sides of my prints, so I have double-sided paper. For some paper crafting projects it's really great to have both sides printed. The green I'm using now is the light olive green from Amsterdam. These are the only brands I'm using. I'm using Schmincke Amsterdam and the Paynes Grey from LeFranc Bourgois. As I like the previous pattern so much, I will use this again for some of my next prints. I always mention this in my Gelli printing videos. Don't let your paint dry on your stamps. I always store them upside down on a wet wipe whilst I'm creating, so the paint does not dry. Often, well, not often, but often enough, or sometimes it happens that I forget the stamps and that everything dries overnight. It's not a problem at all. You can just lay it into water, so then it's easy to get off the acrylic paint from the stamp. You also can use alcohol, but of course it's a bit time consuming to clean the stamp from the dry paint, but it will not ruin your stamp. And this next print turns out even better than the first one, I think. It matches my theme very well, I would say. It's grungy and it has this soft green that you have in spring. And I think it's a great background for spring greeting cards or to decorate just a notebook or so. And as always with my Gelli printing videos, I will make a flip through all the prints at the end of the video. The yellow I'm using here is the primary yellow from Schmincke, and I think it's a perfect yellow for spring. It's not too warm, it's neutral as it's a primary yellow, but I think it also mixes perfect with a little bit of green. Yeah. For this print, I'm making the pattern with that leafy stamp. It's also from the brand new Mix It Up 3 stamp set. And I have some metallic paints here from Arteza. I forgot to mention these in the beginning. You can use any metallic paint you have, and I'm mixing this into the yellow, and I'm curious to see how they will look on the prints. And I can imagine that these metallic or pearlescent effects are gorgeous for design papers, or especially for greeting cards, or if you're working on scrapbook layouts or mini albums. And you can see that shimmery effect the metallic paint has, but as everything is a little bit wet, it's harder to see, but I will show it to you in the end. The pink I'm using here must be the red violet from Amsterdam. It's one of my favorite colors. I think it's perfect for spring as it's not that violet pink that I associate with autumn. It's more of a yeah, reddish magenta mixture. I think it's a perfect spring color. And for the final layer, I'm mixing the portrait pink from Liquitex. Also forgot to mention this brand in the beginning, with the white, just because I don't want to have it pure white, but I wanted to have the background light. The violet I'm now using is also from Liquitex, and at the moment I can't remember which color it is, but I will put it in the video description. Often these leftover paint prints turn out super nice. I also will show you the one I did with the last two prints, and I think this one turned also out so beautiful. For the next print, I'm experimenting a bit more with the pearlescent colors, and here I've used a pearlescent pink. Also from Arteza. I believe these are the only pearlescent colors I have around. I have some metallic ones from Amsterdam, which are pretty nice, but I don't want to get it too intense, these metallic effects. I want them to be just a little bit visible. With this color, I'm using another stamp. It's from our Cuff collection number 1. And with this print, I'm experimenting a bit. I thought I will try to add that grunginess after the pattern. I wanted to remove that print and saw that there were many of the dots left, so I just give it a good press to pick up a little bit more. In the end, I don't mind because these fragments that are left on the plate will give me some really nice texture on my next print. And I think this one turned out really pretty. After editing the video, I recognized that It was too long to render, so I made 2 parts, and this is the end of part 1, and here I have linked up the part 2.